Wednesday morning. Good morning, everybody. We've made it to Hump Day. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in to Gulf Coast Weather Solutions. We take a look at the Tamco Live Doppler radar. We see these small popcorn showers over there towards Louisiana side. Very, very small, but today is going to be a mostly hot and mostly dry day. In fact, the next 5 to 7 days is going to be somewhat mostly dry. Friday is our best chance of rain, and even then, it is somewhat limited. We zoom out in the Tamco Live Doppler radar again. We see some of this moisture pushing into the Louisiana side. They'll see a little bit better opportunity for some showers and thunderstorms. Again, coverage over there is still going to be pretty limited, but for our side in southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana, it is going to be a hot August day. Area high pressure, this is building into pretty much the northern Gulf. We're going to see this continue to keep building and eventually get over our region this weekend, getting into the southern plains, and it is going to make us hot this weekend into early next week. We can already start seeing some of that dry air on the mid to upper levels already here. Thanks again to our sponsor of Tamco. This is another reason why rain opportunities today and tomorrow, and realistically the next 5 to 7 days, is pretty limited because we have lots of dry air in the mid to upper levels. I need to reboot these weather stations. They're not accurate right now, but pretty much what we're seeing is upper 70s to low to mid 80s from the I-10 corridor down towards the coast, and then north of the I-10 corridor is into the middle to upper 70s. So all that's kind of messed up right now, but thanks to our sponsor of Silsby Ford. And then we are going to see those temperatures getting into the 90-degree mark. In fact, lots of us into the mid-90s and several of us getting into the upper 90s. Your only relief from the heat is 10% or less coverage. So thanks to our sponsor of Modern Concrete Material. In fact, this is what we're going to see tomorrow as well, too, on Thursday. It is going to be a pretty mostly hot and mostly dry day. Our best chance of rain is on Friday, and even then, it is pretty limited. So anything outdoors, especially construction-wise, sporting-wise, we look pretty good. The only thing you got to worry about is the heat index that will get pretty warm. We're not worried about the tropics right now, especially into the Gulf and into the Caribbean. Really strong wind shear in the Caribbean. This is why I am not concerned with neither one of these waves right now. We will continue to keep watching both of them. Wave number one likely will be Tropical Depression or Tropical Storm Cristobal. Possibly by this weekend, this will push towards the Leeward Islands. By Saturday, it will be in this general region. This will bring much needed rain to the Leeward Islands. They are in a big drought. Once it passes the Leeward Islands, adios to wave number one or Cristobal. Once it gets into the Caribbean, very strong wind shear will shred that to pieces, and that's it for wave number one, Cristobal. Wave number two has just been updated to a 30% chance of developing the next 5 to 7 days. I would imagine we're going to see this slowly increase the next couple of days. By middle of next week, this should be in this general region, approaching the Leeward Islands middle of next week. That's when we're going to continue to keep watching this. That's when we could see this have a window of opportunity. But this hurricane season, dry air and wind shear is going to give these systems a really hard time. So right now, the early look is this is going to have a hard time developing. It has a window of opportunity middle of next week, but if this goes into the Caribbean, through the islands, really strong wind shear will continue to give this a hard time. The only thing that this can do is take somewhat of a little more of a northern path. That's the end of next week. This is where you see a little bit less wind shear, a little bit less dry air, so it could get a little bit better developed, and then again, this possibly could track away from the United States. But again, that's 9, 10, 12, 13 days away from now, so, we take all that with a grain of salt. The good news is dry air and wind shear is will give them a hard time. We'll continue to keep tracking them, but as of right now, I am just not too concerned with neither one of them. So here's wave number one, bringing the much-needed rain through the Leeward Islands. Let's say this was a Category 2 hurricane, Category 3. This is when it would go against the ridges, find the weakness, and it would go away. But guess what? Since this is weak and it's just bringing much needed rain to the Leeward Islands, it will continue going west, and when it does that, it will get shredded to pieces. In fact, here we are moving into other islands over here. These islands need it. Again, Cuba and Dominican Republic, Haiti, all of these islands need the rain, so this will bring in some showers and thunderstorms to the region. But as this continues moving westward, where'd it go? I mean, you can't even see it. Wind shear just shreds it to pieces. And then let's try to find that second wave. It's just, model data is not doing a good job with it. It's not handling it very well right now. In fact, model data is saying, hey, dry air and wind shear could give that second wave a hard time. We'll continue watching it. In fact, it's still 10, 12, 13 days away. Again, I'm not too concerned with it because dry air and wind shear probably will still give it a hard time. So we'll continue to keep watching it, but right now the Gulf looks shut down the next 7 to 10 days in tropics, which is wonderful, wonderful news. High pressure is going to be the main story. rest of the week through the weekend, especially into early next week. Because of that high pressure, you still see we've got the southern flow, so we can have some showers, trying the next couple of days, but coverage is pretty limited because by this weekend into early next week, look where that high pressure is sitting right over us. That means more dry airs into the mid to upper levels. That means rainfall outlook's going to be pretty limited. In fact, if you look at the next 5 to 7 days, our best coverage of rain is on Friday, possibly getting up to 20 to 30% coverage, and even then, pretty limited. Don't see anything heavy. We've got a chance of rain, I guess you could say, every day, but still, this is pretty limited. Nothing heavy in the next 5 to 7 days. That high pressure is going to keep us somewhat of the more mostly dry side. This afternoon, middle to upper 90s. Your only relief from the heat are these little pop-up showers, little pop-up storms, but the coverage should be 10% or less for southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana. We're going to say that's a pretty dry day today. So we're expecting a pretty dry Wednesday. Temperatures into the middle to upper 90s. Several areas out towards Houston and further to the north. Heat index is going to be hot today. Upper 90s, and we're going to be into the triple digits. And again, your only relief from the heat is 10% or less, thanks to Silsbee Ford. And then the UIL wet bulb globe temperature, it's going to be a hot one today. Probably going to see some breaks depending on their field conditions, but this will be near the 90-degree mark, thanks to Switch Electric showing us what's going on in the wet bulb. And then overnight tonight, pretty much what we see this time of year, middle to upper 70s with several into the low to near the mid 80s. And then here we are for southeast Texas the next 5 to 7 days. You have small rain chances, but they're around 10 to 20%. Friday's our best bet, but even then it's still limited. We have area high pressure building in, so that means temperatures mainly into the mid 90s. And then we actually start creeping into the upper 90s this weekend, getting into early next week. Main story, mostly hot, mostly dry conditions. Same thing for southwest Louisiana. It's going to get hot this weekend, especially early next week. If you not have... Oh, wow, that didn't even make no sense. If you haven't yet, please go download the free Gulf Coast Weather Solutions app. You'll have a wonderful Wednesday. Thanks again for tuning in to the Gulf Coast Weather Solutions show. We'll have more updates throughout the day, especially tracking the tropics. But as of right now, not generally concerned with either one of them, but we will continue to keep watching them because it is the only ball game in town. So y'all have a wonderful Wednesday, and thanks again for tuning in. Stay cool today and realistically the next 5 to 7 days.
Gulf Coast Weather Solutions is sponsored by...
We don't know what the weather is going to be like around here. I do get really anxious during storms.
That's why they chose HailGuard. When performance leads, confidence follows. Backed by the first and only asphalt shingle system with a hail warranty.
That just gives us more peace of mind.
This is the only asphalt product on the market that has the manufacturer warranty targeting the hail damage, and it gives me a lot of confidence as a contractor.
Engineered for enhanced impact performance. Built to protect homes and reputations. HailGuard shingles. Built for hail.